Okay. Okay, today we're going to do Zion, which is the new parak. Exactly. Thank Hashem that we're able to learn every day.
Amen.
In this course of our learning, we should have the basic English.
Amen.
The parak starts like this. Misha Amar Harini Nazir. Someone that says that he accepts on himself to be a Nazir. So Megaleach Yom Shleishim Echad, he shaves his head on the 31st day. 30 days is the Stam Naziris. And then the following day, he shaves his head and brings the sacrifices. Now, on Daf Hey, we already learned, we quoted almost everything from this Mishnah. And we quoted over there a Machlekes of Amirayim, Rav Masna and Barpada. Rav Masna says that when the Mishnah says Stam Nazir Shleishim Yaim, that a regular Naziris, an unspecified Naziris is 30 days, he says, yeah, it's actually 30 days. And Barpada says Stam Naziris is actually 29 days, unspecified. So why do we say 30 days? So we're talking about shaving the head is on the 30th. The whole process is 30. So over here, why would he have to say, why does the Mishnah say, according to Rav Masna, this is perfect, right? He shaves his head on the 31st day because the Stam Naziris is 30 days. The 31st day is when you're supposed to shave the head. But according to Barpada, the Gemara asked before, why is it the 31st day? So we said over there that it's Nasika Imer Shleiman. It's as if he said that it was complete 30 days. As if he said that it's complete. It's like a decree, a decree of some sort. You're supposed to wait till the 31st day, even though you don't really have to.
Meaning not a partial. Is that what the issue is?
Yeah. Well, then there's one more point that Rav Masna holds that Miktsasiyim Kakulai. Barpada does not hold of Miktsasiyim Kakulai. So 29 is really 29. But here we're saying it's as if he said 30 complete. So then you'd have to wait for the 31st day. However, it's not 100% so. 30th day also works. Now, according to Rav Masna, according to Barpada, we understand why the 30th day works, because it's really only 29 days. But according to Rav Masna, where it's supposed to be 30 days, and then he's supposed to shave his head on the 31st day. So why does 30 days work for the Eved, like after the fact? So for that, we answer that Rav Masna holds Miktasiyim Kakulei, that a partial day is considered a day. Harini Nazir Shleishim Yom. Says, I'm going to be a Nazir for 30 days. So here, there's no Machlekes Barpada and Rav Masna. 30 days is 30 days according to everyone. It's only if you don't specify where you have that Machlekes. So Im Gilach Liyem Shleishim La Yatza. If he shaves his head on the 30th day, it's not good. Now, according to Rav Masna, this is problematic. Because according to Rav Masna, the 30th day could be just a partial day as well. So why can't he shave his head a few minutes after the morning starts, and then it's already considered that he did a full 30 days? So we say that's because he said that it was 30 complete days. According to Rav Masna, we have to explain it. Misha Nazir Shtei Nazir, someone that vowed it's going to be a Nazir twice. First one, he shaves his head on the 31st day, like we said at the beginning of the Mishnah, right? And then the second one, Shishim V'echad, the 61st day. Now, really should be the 62nd day, if you have to double that, right? The answer is that who holds that it needs to be the 31st day? Minadin would be Rav Masna. Rav Masna also holds the Miktasiyim Kakulei. So the 31st day counts for, hey, let's see. 31st day counts for the first Naziris and also counts for the second one. It comes out to 61 days at the end. If he shaved on the 30th day, which we said that was acceptable as well, right? So then the second one you could shave on the 60th day, not the 61st. That's also acceptable. According to Barpada, of course, there's no problem because you only need 29 days. So the 30th day is the day of shaving. That would work perfectly. According to Rav Masna, you can always count the middle day as Miktasiyim Kukule. Partial day is considered a day. This is interesting. If he shaves his head on the 59th day, he's Yaitza. How does that work? He has to shave his head on the 30th day. That's like, can't be less than that, right? The 30th day. So now, if I can count the 30th day as both 30th for the first one and the first of the second one, then it would work out 59. You can count it for both. If it ends, no, that's what we mentioned. If you're completing something entirely, then you can say Mitzasiyim Kukula and count half the morning was the end of the old one and the afternoon is the brand new one. But if I have to restart the old one after I'm done, because we were interrupting, that's what we learned yesterday, then you can't say Mitzasiyim. That was a problem. Zueidus Hayed Rab Papayas. We mentioned this before. This is a testimony that Rab Papayas testified on Misha Nazir Stei Nazir Shem Gilachas Rishani Yem Shleishim Galechas Ashniya Liyem Shishim Yem Gilach Liyem Shishim Chasarechad Yatza. That if he shaves his head on the 30th day, then he can shave his head for the second Nazir on the 60th day. And if he shaves his head on the 59th, that also works. And the reason is Sheyoim Shal Shleishim Oila Leim Min Aminyan. That the 30th day counts, according to Rav Masna, it counts for both. It counts for the first Nazirs and it counts for the second one. According to Barpada, that says you only need 29 days. What does the Mishnah mean? The 30th day counts. It's already over. The answer is it counts for the second one. Even though you're shaving the head, bring the sacrifice on that day, it still counts for the second Nazirs. Bisha Amar Harini Nazir. Someone that says, I'm going to be a Nazir. Nitma, he becomes Tameh, Yom Shleishim, on the 30th day. Shleisher Sakal. He has to start over everything. According to Rav Masna, I understand why. Because it's the 30th day. Probably in the morning he becomes Tameh. And he's still in the middle of his Naziris. The Naziris, Tam Naziris is 30 days. We're talking about a Nazir, someone that's a Nazirite. Can't cut his hair, can't drink wine, can't go to a cemetery. This fellow he did go to a cemetery on the 30th day, which is the final day, the concluding day, according to Rav Masna. So we understand why he has to restart everything. According to Barpada, that regular Naziris is only 29 days. Why does he have to restart everything? The answer is that this is a rabbinic decree. Because he didn't bring the sacrifices yet, rabbinically, he has to do the whole thing over again. Rabbi Eliezer Eimer, Rabbi Eliezer says, Eina Seisra Shiva. Eliezer says it only interrupts 7 days. Now, what it means 7 days is that he does not need to start over the whole thing, the whole Naziris. He just has to wait 7 days till he becomes pure. Why 7 days? Well, they have to do the ashes of the Paraduma. Because he went to a cemetery, became impure. They have to sprinkle that, and that takes 7 days. The 3rd day and the 7th day, they have to sprinkle that, and then he can bring a sacrifice. Okay. But what does he hold? He must hold that Mitzasiyim Kukulai, that the partial day is acceptable. It must have been, what was the first opinion here? First opinion.
Would it be that because one of them holds that it kind of goes back to retroactive and the other one does it?
Really, the machlekes here with Rabbi Eliezer is, do we say that it's over already? Do we say the Naziris is over? Because he's in the 30th day. Once he's in the 30th day, we say that it's over and he doesn't have to restart. According to the first opinion, it's not over. He still has to see. According to Barpada, I understand it perfectly. Well, actually, I don't understand it perfectly. According to Barpada, I have a mixus. I don't say mixus kulai, but I don't need mixus. It's already the 30th day. He says it only takes 29 days. We said that it's rabbinic, but according to Rav Masna, why don't I say mixus kulai? Rav Masna must say, according to the Chachamim, that since the sacrifices weren't brought yet, you're still in middle.
It seems like he accepts that the Nazir shoot was concluded, and the only part that he's missing is the sacrifices. So
Right.
That's why you wait the 7 days.
Right, to bring the sacrifice. That's Rabbi Eliezer's view. Right. What about the first opinion, the Chachamim, the Rabbanan's view? So that must be because the sacrifices weren't brought yet.
So does everyone agree that it ends in 30 days, whether or not sacrifices are brought and the hair is cut?
According to the Chachamim, it doesn't appear to be like that. Let me see what he says over here.
I thought maybe that's why there's having this discussion here. Because the 30 days has ended, but he hasn't
Oh,
done what he needs to do to, in other words, does it end because you bring the sacrifice and you cut your hair, or is it already ended and this is just sort of something you do afterwards? Just enjoy your life again.
I don't know. I don't know why, according to Rav Masna, you need to. I don't know. I don't know how Rav Masna understands the Rabbanah. Because we should say mix the same kakulai. Partial day is enough, and then Naziris is over. Taisva says this.
That the conclusion was the sacrifice.
Right.
So maybe that's why.
Could be that's the opinion. According to Rav Masna, the Chachamim hold that until you bring the sacrifice. Let's see further. Let's an easier case is Misha Amar, someone that says Harini Nazir Shleishim Yom. See that? Instead of saying Harini Nazir, he says I'm going to be a Nazir for 30 days. This is an easier case because he actually gave us that amount of time. So Nitma Yom Shleishim, if he says if he becomes tummy on the 30th day, so Seiser Sakol, and he has to start over. No one argues with that because 30 days. 30 days means that it's shleim, that it needs to be complete. Harini Nazir Meya Yom. What happens if he says I'm going to be a Nazir for 100 days? Well, Nitma Yemeya, let's say on the 100th day he becomes tummy. So Seiser Sakol. He has to start over everything because he said 100 days. You can't say Mixasim Kakulai when he says 100 days, he means 100 complete days. However, there's one issue here. Rabbi Lesser still is able to come in and make an argument out of this. Yeah, I argued before. Comes in now and he says that when you start over, you don't have to start the whole thing over. You only have to do a Naziris again. You don't have to do the complete number that you said. You just have to do it another 30 days. Rabbi Lesser, you only have to do 30 days. Learns it from, it says, it's going to say, page Teras Naziris. You just have to get the rule of Naziris. Zeis Tia Teras and Nazir. You only have to get one Nazir again afterwards. You don't have to redo all 100 days. Okay. Nitma Yemeya ve'echad. Let's say he becomes Tamei on the 101st day before he brings the sacrifices. So Shleishim Yom. This is a rabbinic rule that he has to do another 30 days. Similar to what Rabbi Eliezer said when it's on the 100th day. The sages say when it's on the 101st day. Rabbi Eliezer, Rabbi Eliezer now says no. Rabbi Eliezer says that once the 100 days are over, now you only have to wait 7 days to be able to bring the sacrifices. To become pure, you can't bring the sacrifices while he's impure. Okay, now we go back. Misham Marini Nazir, the Gemara explains this. Misham Marini Nazir, Nitmiyim Shleishim, Seisa Sakal, Rabbi Eliezer, Seisa Shiva. Someone says that I'm going to be a Nazir. Then he becomes Tamei on the 30th day. So he has to start over. Rabbi Lezer says, no, he doesn't have to start over. He just has to become pure in order to bring the sacrifices, which is 7 days of purity. Kasavar Rabbi Lezer. Rabbi Lezer holds, Kol Achar Malais. Anything that's after the completing of his Nazirus. Shiva Seiser. Because he was already complete. Rabbi Lezer holds Miktasiyam Kakulei. Partial day is considered the whole day. Once it starts, it's good. So he only has to wait to bring the sacrifices, which is the 7 clean days. If he says, I'm going to be a Nazir for 30 days, if he becomes Tameh on the 30th day, Rabbi Lezer doesn't argue. Rabbi Lezer says you have to start over. Why is that? If it's Rabbi Lezer holds that Miktasiyam Kakula, a partial day is considered a day. So why does he have to start over? He's already finished. My answer is Damar Shleiman, talking about where he said 30 complete days. If you say 30 complete days, then you can't say that a partial day is considered a full day. Reini Nazir Me'ayim. He says, I'm going to be a Nazir for 100 days. And he becomes Tamei on the 100th day. Seiser Sakal. He has to start over. Rabbi Lezer says you only have to do over 30 days, like we said, that he learns from the Teiras Nazir, that you only have to do one set of Nazirs, which would be 30 days. Now the Gemara says, V'kulu kedahavinan ba aliba de barpada v'rav masna. This whole Mishnah is the way we deliberated on it earlier, according to Barpada and Rav Masna. So when we learned the Mishnah, I went through that because that was on Daf Hey, where the Gemara went through this machlekes of Barpada and Rav Masna. So this was the source where the Gemara was quoting from, but the Gemara explained it over there. When it comes back to the source, the Gemara says, just look back there and you'll get it. Okay, we have a new Mishnah. We also quoted this earlier. I don't remember where, but we quoted it earlier. Misha Nazir Bebeis Akvaris. Someone that accepted on himself to be a Nazir, but he was in the cemetery when he accepted this on himself. So does the Nazirus take effect on him or not? Well, even if he was in the cemetery for 30 days straight, it doesn't count for the Nazirus. When he gets out of the cemetery, that's when he has to count 30 days. First he has to become pure, and then he would count 30 days. Maybe
days or 100 days.
Well, here he didn't say 100. Stam Nazirus is just 30 days. Now, does he have to be pure when he's a... Does a Nazir have to be pure?
Become a Nazir?
To become a Nazir. Yeah. Can't go to a cemetery, I understand. But does he have to have the paraduma already sprinkled on him for it to start? I'm not sure. Have a note there? Yeah, and completing his purification process. Oh, 1 second. Ein Island. The days of Naziriteship he observed after having left the cemetery and completing his purification process are included in the term of Naziriteship. I think it does count. think it sounds like it does count. Okay, he leaves the cemetery, the Nazirite starts. Ve'ina maybe carbon tuma, and he doesn't have to bring the sacrifice that a Nazir would normally have to bring if he became impure, because his Nazirus never started. Right? He was in the cemetery when he accepted it. Yatzav v'nichnas, let's say he goes out and he comes back in. Now he became tummy, and he already became a Nazir. So then, oilay min minyan, or maybe carbon tuma. Those days count, but he has to bring a carbon tuma, and which probably means he has to start over as well, right? Normally, what the carbon tuma does, that he brings that sacrifice and then he restarts. Rabbi Lezer Aimer loy boy bayayim, that if he goes out and he comes back in, then he doesn't have to bring the sacrifice. Why? If it's in the same day. This only happens when he has at least 2 days of being a Nazir. Then when he becomes Tameh, then we say that it restarts. But if he didn't even have 2 days, then we don't say that he has to bring the sacrifice, because it's the pasuk says that the first days fall off and he has to restart. But if it's not first days, then he doesn't have to restart, right? It wasn't days. Itmar, it was stated by Amiraim. Misha Nazar Vuvavesa, someone that accepted on himself to be a Nazir and he's in a cemetery. Now we have a machlekes Amiraim. Rabbi Yechanan Amar Nazirus Chalalav. Rish Lakish Amar Ein Nazirus Chalalav. Rabbi Yechanan says he is a Nazir. Rish Lakish says he's not a Nazir. How could Rabbi Yechanan argue on the Mishnah? The Mishnah says that he's not a Nazir. Well, Rabbi Yechanan Amar Nazirus Chalalav. Rabbi Yechanan says the Nazirus comes on him. Savar mitla talya v'kaima. It's like hanging and waiting. Given the mashchatara chayla. Once he becomes pure, then it takes effect. The term is mishkachatara. Does that mean that he has to become totally pure?
It talks again about the purification process.
I'm not sure.
It mentions purification process.
I know he has to do the purification process, but I want to know if those 7 days that he's being purified, is that part of the Nazir, or does the Nazir start only after he's pure? Yeah, that's what it looks like. Doesn't count. Okay. Well, what Rabbi Yechanan seems to be saying is that even though he can't count the days that he's in the cemetery to cover the Naziris, because in the cemetery, he can't be there 30 days and then say, okay, I did my whole Naziris. I never became any more Tameh, but nevertheless, he still is considered a Nazir. The statement is still valid. When he leaves the cemetery, he automatically becomes a Nazir. And what about when he's in the cemetery? The rules of drinking wine would still apply. Cutting his hair. It's just that he can't count those days as the Nazirs because he was in the cemetery the whole time. It never started.
So the only thing we didn't start with the day count.
The day count, but he still has the laws. Still has the laws.
We can't cut his hair.
Right, or drink wine. Rish Lakish Amar Ein Nazirus Chalalav. That Rish Lakish says he's not a Nazir at all. When he leaves the cemetery, not only is he was he not a Nazir in the cemetery, but it's not a Nazir even when he leaves the cemetery. He has to repeat the statement that I'm going to be a Nazir. What he said in the cemetery is nothing.
So Rish Lakish is saying it didn't mean anything.
Right.
He was Tommy, so
Right.
he couldn't say it, so it meant nothing.
Right.
It doesn't start afterwards either.
Doesn't start afterwards either.
No.
The question is why the Mishnah seemed to say that it does start. Mishnah said, Yatza v'nichnas. If he goes out,
Reminded me of kind of like an empty well. Because if he says that he's going to be another, he can't do it because he's impure.
right? They add in over here that when he, according to Rish Lakish, where he has to reaccept, he doesn't have to reaccept with a full Hareini Nazir. You could just say Hareini Kamesh Adarti. I will be as I vowed. Okay. When we were in the beginning of Nadarim, we were discussing how could a person violate Bal Ta'acher by Naziris. This was one of the cases where he became Tameh. He was supposed to reaccept it again when he afterwards he postpones it. So that was a way of delaying the Naziris. Okay. Ihadar v'amar chaylala v'loylay. Eisvei Rabbi Yochanan Rish Lakish. Rabbi Yochanan asked Rish Lakish a question. Misha Nazir with Beisakvara, someone that took a vow that he's going to be a Nazir and he's in the cemetery. I feel like Yesham Shleishim Yaim, even if he's there for 30 days, you know, layman a minion doesn't count. Okay, he doesn't have to bring a sacrifice of being impure. Usually a Nazir that becomes impure has to bring the sacrifice, the Hashem Naziris. So Rabbi Yochanan understands this. He says that implies korban tumah hudalei maisi. He doesn't have to bring the sacrifice of impurity, but he still is a Nazir. She says he doesn't have to bring the sacrifice. It sounds like, okay, you don't have to bring the sacrifice, but the regular Naziris is there. Amarlei, Rish Lakish responds to that. Eina b'teiras tumah ve'eina b'teiras korban. The reason why he doesn't have to bring the sacrifice is because he's not a Nazir. Doesn't have the whole status. That's Rish Lakish's answer. Eisvei is another question. Mishaya Tamei v'Nazir. Someone that was Tamei, and while he was Tamei, he accepted on himself to be a Nazir. He's not allowed to drink wine. He's not allowed to shave his head. He's not allowed to go to a cemetery again. He gets malchus if he does. He drinks wine, shaves his head, and goes to a cemetery. According to Rabbi Yochanan, this makes sense because he says that he becomes a Nazir even though he's impure. He just doesn't start the counting, but all the laws apply. Time of the Sefer that's the reason why he gets the malchus. But according to Rish Lakish, that says that he's nothing. My Sefer Gesar, why does he get malchus? My answer is, yeah, what are we dealing with? Talking about that he left the cemetery and he comes back in, but it's more than that. He actually went through the purification process and then he comes back in. And that's when we say that he was going to get malchus. It was only after the fact, not while he was tummy when he got the malchus. Okay, let's leave it over here. Thanks, everyone.